Shigaraki's gonna get one for all? Just get wrecked, heroes. What's up guys, it's Truth Hero, and welcome to this crazy My Hero Academia chapter. So, Boku no Hero Academia chapter 246 of the manga will talk about everything from Shigaraki gaining a new quirk, and why I believe, even if it's not the quirk One for All, it could be something even more powerful than One for All, or even All for One. Also, we'll talk about Hawks and the government and their planning on what to do about the League of Villains and the Liberation Army, as well as students potentially joining this fight. So let's dive in. So we are reminded that Shigaraki's decay quirk has blossomed into the meadow of destruction instead of just a lone flower in a field. As Dr. Ujiko notes, destruction incarnate. We learn that Shigaraki, of course, can now disintegrate things that are connected or touching an object or person he's touching. So if someone's standing on a road Shigaraki's touching, they're also going to feel their shoes and maybe feet possibly disintegrate. Given this, Dr. Ujiko asks Shigaraki, "Why do you need this power? You're pretty OP already." And Shigaraki says, well, 1, Redestro is still alive and I pretty much went all out on him, and 2, how many heroes do you think they have? I'm going to be very cautious with this one. When I attempt to kill All Might this time, I want it to be the last time I attempt this, because I want to succeed. I love that Shigaraki is being very cautious here. It shows us that he's really maturing as a character, and he's outgrowing his childish ways. Even though we all feel like, dude, you're powerful enough. The heroes are pretty much screwed at this point. Also, his whole arm is kind of cracked up until his shoulder and even his neck and his face. He kind of looks like Thanos after he snapped. And this is the real first time we've seen Shigaraki have a weakness to his own power. And he knows this. He knows that if he goes 100% with his power, it's going to have this grave side effect. So it's really cool to see Shigaraki wanting to preserve himself more. Now on to the power which Shigaraki will receive. And one of my predictions from my last chapter review was correct. It's not just the high-end Nomu. It's not just him getting the quirk All for One and perhaps some other quirks from his master. No, it's special research that Dr. Ujiko has been saving and refining. Dr. Ujiko tells Shigaraki that his master All for One actually had trouble containing all the quirks because of an expanding memory, and of course crappy hardware due to the fact that All for One's body was failing him. Now, a note on this translation, the expanding memory are not the ones in your head or something like the Vesitges of One for All. They're more like computer and software capacity, whereas the hardware would be the physical body of the computer like the metal and the circuits, or the physical body holding the quirks. Now, even though this is a computer storage gigabyte metaphor, it's not the only thing it could be. It's very possible that All for One actually struggled with the intense memories in the One for All quirk and the Vesitges. If you remember, he still had a mental connection with his brother who is the first user of One for All. So keep this idea of shared memories and a mental connection in mind when we're talking about people who possess a generation-defying quirk. Again, it's mostly a computer metaphor, but it could be more. We find out that Shigaraki will receive a quirk that expands over time, that becomes more powerful with each generation, and also becomes more impure and harder to control. Shigaraki will inherit the one thing that has always escaped his master, the quirk One for All. Let's go ahead with the theory that Shigaraki will get One for All here. I think there are other possibilities and other theories that we'll dive into in a bit, but for the sake of argument, Shigaraki will be endowed with One for All from Dr. Ujiko via this medical procedure here. Not only is this a fabulous parallel to Deku, I mean it's an exact copy, but it opens the door for some very trippy things. And yeah, I put on a sweatshirt. I'm cold. 1. Shigaraki will be just as powerful as Deku with One for All, perhaps even more so. Now, Deku has access to the Vesitges and their quirks since they sort of mix with One for All. This being said, would Shigaraki also gain access to their quirks, including Shimura Nana's? Number 2, and this will make more sense once I discuss my own theory and actually question how did Dr. Ujiko get the One for All quirk, but if he has a synthetic version of One for All that's been honed by villains throughout the generations instead of heroes, would Shigaraki get his own evil Vesitges and their quirks? Number 3, and perhaps the most terrifying, Shigaraki actually might get to speak to Shimura Nana and the other Vesitges if he receives One for All, since their memories are stored within the quirk. All Might didn't really access them, but he hadn't yet hit that point of quirk singularity like Dr. Ujiko was talking about, but Deku has. How crazy would it be for Shigaraki to actually communicate with his grandmother? Maybe they're kind of setting this up for some final battle where he's feeling remorse and maybe they're gonna, have a little redemption and Shimura Nana urges him not to go down this path of destruction and villainy. Also, now that Shigaraki's gaining One for All, he might be connected to Deku. Now, I'm not saying he's going to jump through the memories and possess Deku's body. I don't think Horikoshi's going to go that route. But there is a parallel between Shigaraki and Deku, just as All for One and his younger brother. Remember, All for One was connected to his younger brother because of the One for All quirk. So it's very possible that Shigaraki getting this quirk, he'll now be connected to Deku. Dr. Ujiko says, Shigaraki, after this medical treatment, everything will be within your grasp. Now, metaphorically, that means that Shigaraki can go out there and fulfill his dreams of villainy. But quite literally, it means that every single quirk that All for One has ever possessed will now be at the disposal of Shigaraki and ready to use now that he's imbued with this new quirk and a stable body. While I think it's certainly a possibility that Dr. Ujiko could be giving Shigaraki the One for All quirk here, it assumes two things. One, that All for One, or perhaps a villain working with him, somehow had access to the One for All quirk after All for One passed it on to his brother. And this is unlikely because, remember, the quirk only became One for All after it was given to the brother and it fused with his quirk. Also, Dr. Ujiko explicitly says that this was the one power that always eluded your master All for One. It was the one quirk that he could never get his hands on. If some other villain found it, he'd probably use it, and All for One would just hunt him down. 2, with the exception of some synthetic version of One for All, how would Dr. Ujiko get access to this quirk? It's not like the previous users would give it to him, and they'd probably find his examinations pretty suspicious. Also, it's not like one of the children that Dr. Ujiko sees on a regular basis for their exams would have this from birth. It needs to be passed on. Also, we'll talk about these children in an upcoming theory video. If you thought Dr. Ujiko was bad now, just wait. So how can this be? Well, my theory is that Dr. Ujiko is not giving Shigaraki the One for All quirk, but instead saying that after this medical procedure is over and after you emerge from your cocoon in 4 months, you'll have enough power to go out there and get it, and kill All Might and his disciple, and take that power. And instead, Dr. Ujiko is giving Shigaraki a different quirk that can be passed down throughout the generations and refined, or in this case, transferred from villain to villain via All for One's power. Remember, he can take two people and swap their quirks, so it's very possible that All for One, as a countermeasure to his brother, and seeing how the quirk One for All became very powerful, started to hone a different quirk within his villain circle, and now it's finally being ready to be passed down to his successor. The quirk, which I'm going to call Fusion, would have the ability to meld the effects of 2 or more quirks together. Obviously, this is useless for anyone who has it, unless you have multiple quirks like All for One. It works like this. Imagine you have an ice quirk like Gaten's, and your friend has a quirk that allows them to suck people's stamina away, like Rikiya Katsukame's Vitality Stealing from the 8 Precepts. All for One comes along and transfers your friend's quirk to you, and also gives you the quirk Fusion. You use the quirk Fusion while activating your 2 other quirks, and now anyone you freeze with your ice quirk also loses their stamina to your ice, and you, having control over the ice, gain this stamina. There's plenty of crazy combinations out there. I mean, it's really up to the imagination. But let's take a look at Shigaraki. Dr. Ujiko said that Shigaraki's decay now extends to things that are connected to what he touches, i.e., not just a person, but their shoes or even the ground under them starts to decay as well. Almost like a decay wave. What if Shigaraki is transferred the All for One quirk from his master, which we all expect him to get, and this new quirk from Dr. Ujiko's research is Fusion? Now, Shigaraki can touch the ground and heroes will begin to decay, and this decay wave, infused with the All for One quirk, will steal their quirks from Shigaraki as they are being Thanos'd. I mean, Shigaraki did say he's not taking any chances. He doesn't know how many heroes there are. Well, this is the ultimate solution to that. It's the ultimate power. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. The other option here is some sort of quirk or mechanism that can bypass the whole one-for-all DNA consent form trick that keeps it from being stolen. If it's true that Dr. Ujiko is preparing Shigaraki to go get one for all in 4 months, then it might make sense to have a quirk that sort of breaks down these safeguards. Also, it doesn't mean that Shigaraki will take it from Deku and he won't have a quirk. It could mean that what if Shigaraki transfers this quirk that allows him to break down the safeguard to someone like Stain? If Stain slashes Deku and licks that knife, he now has one for all. Or any villain that gets a piece of Deku's DNA now has one for all. It's kind of like Oprah. You get one for all. You get one for all. Everyone gets a one for all quirk. I mean, it is for all, so. Shigaraki will go through hell in the next 4 months, and this is a nice parallel to when Deku had to train on the beach preparing his body for one for all. Except Shigaraki's not just getting something akin to one for all. He's probably getting all for one for starters, and a whole bunch of other quirks, as well as what this research is. So he'll suffer, but in the end, Shigaraki might actually get pretty buff. Also, he might get this muscular body from other villains and other quirks, because why go to the gym when you can just inject someone's DNA via Dr. Ujiko's research? Also, given the whole Boku no Hero Academia analysis book that came out, this is very plausible. And yes, I will be making a video on this, so stay tuned. The only good thing for the heroes about Shigaraki going into a cocoon for the next 4 months is that unless there's some other minor villain introduced, they have 4 months to prepare and do their internships and train in peace. I mean, maybe Dabi will, come out and burn some people, but they have 4 months off from Shigaraki, and I hope they use it very effectively and very efficiently. The remainder of this chapter is sort of Hawks, Endeavor, and a few other heroes debating about how to confront the League of Villains in the Liberation Army without exposing their operation. And there's this great scene where Redestro confronts Hawks and says, "Hey, about those Liberation Army manifestos that you've been handing out to the heroes. Great job. You're doing a fantastic job. You really connect with Redestro's ideology, and you're getting the youth on board. This is so great. Keep doing you, Hawks." What a great psych moment by Horikoshi. So the last two things I want to discuss here are, one, the prospect of students and children fighting alongside heroes, and the second thing is, in the end panels we have a few things that are not students or professional heroes, and they're sort of foreshadowing something. So let's start with the kids. This raises an interesting ethical question. Hawk says that these kids are ready. I mean, I was just a little faster than you, Bakugo, but Bakugo, Deku, and Shoto would have handled that minor villain with flying colors, no problem. So Endeavor realizes this, and he realizes that, hey, we're understaffed, we need all the help we can get against the villains. I'm going to train these three. Watch me, and I'm going to bring you guys up to speed. And to be fair, Deku, Shoto, Bakugo, they are on an elite level. Compared to any other pros that we really haven't seen, they're at their level, Maybe at the level of Gang Orca at least, right? But is it right to have students fighting these villains? Now, any other internship, you'd be expected to do the work of the professional. If you're a high school football player and your local college or even a big state school holds a football camp, are you not expected to perform at your very best? No, of course not. You're going to go there and say, hey, I deserve to play at the collegiate level. I'm going to perform the very best. I'm going to show you that, you know what, I'm even better than your receivers. Or I can throw the ball better than your backup quarterback. You gotta pick me next season. So these are internships too. If you're going to be a hero later on in your life, you're going to show the pros that you belong here. And what better way to do that than by actually doing what pros do and fighting villains? So I don't know how I feel about students taking on this responsibility, because we've seen this sort of flip, right? My Hero Academia students, they're very capable. But then again, when the villains attack their training camp, the teachers say, no, you can't fight. Oh no, it's an attack on kids, they're helpless. But then again, they defeated the hero killer. So I think they're ready to do it, but I'm not sure if the country is ready for heroes being children, or children to be heroes. The only other thing I can say about this is countries like America have a worse crime rate in the My Hero Academia universe, and it's very possible that those schools really drill their kids hard with the hero teaching, and they're already doing hero work. So maybe it's just time for Japan to accept this. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. Let me know what you guys think about kids taking on the responsibility of pro heroes. I mean, they've pretty much helped in every arc anyway, especially Chisaki. We'll see season 4 tomorrow. But now on to the foreshadowing. There's 3 panels here which we don't see that are different from students with professional heroes. And I think this arc, it's going to be relatively peaceful because Shigaraki is going to go in his cocoon. So we're going to see each student of 1A and maybe 1B with their respective pro hero that they're interning with. And there's some great pairings that you guys should look in there. I think Koda is with the manga kid and they're with the wash hero. That's great. But the first panel is All Might and he's looking worried. So it tells me that his death might be coming soon, and I think we all expect this, but also that he's just worried about his students taking on the responsibility of being real pro heroes and fighting this villain war. The second panel is actually Fuyumi, and she's praying, or at the very least she looks very worried, which again, this could foreshadow some death, perhaps Endeavor's. She's really the one that has accepted her father back into the household, and it's on the others to sort of try to forgive before time's up. Sure, Endeavor has to pay his dues, but for Yumi, she's basically already forgiven her father, so she'd be the one that's the most heartbroken or distraught at the prospect of Endeavor suffering some injury or even dying on the battlefield. And the third is a shot of a prisoner with his straitjacket on and sort of a tube and a mask, and he's being restrained in Tartarus. Now I say a prisoner because I expect it's all for one, but Horikoshi did this interesting thing where they put black fog over his face. No, I don't think this is Kurogiri because they would have had eyes on him. I think it's sort of just shrouding him in mystery, shrouding all for one in mystery, and it's foreshadowing a prison break arc, or all hell is gonna break loose and we're gonna see the villains versus the heroes in some epic war once Shigaraki gains his power. So that's all I have to say on this chapter, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments. What is this power that Shigaraki is getting from Ujiko's research? Is he getting the One for All quirk or some other quirk? And do you think it's okay that kids are fighting alongside heroes in this villain war? Let me know your philosophies down below, and if you like My Hero Academia content and these chapter reviews, consider enrolling at UA today by subscribing. And so you're never late for class, click the bell notification. As always guys, thanks for watching, thanks for the support, and until next time, plus ultra.